Welcome to Marriage, Let's Talk, hosted by legendary worldwide marriage encounter leader, Father Rosy Rosebrough, featuring Catholic married couples from around the world who demonstrate healthy communication for building better marriages. And now, here's Father Rosy.
Hi, Father Rosy here. I'm glad you could join us today. This podcast is not talking about marriage. It is where we're going to share how to create a better marriage through communicating feelings in authentic ways.
There they are. Hey. There's the lovers. Here is Michelle and Chris with the C.
That's right, Chris with the C. So we dialogued on what the topic, what is one way I have grown this year? My letter is, my love, a quality of yours I found most endearing is helping me deal with my mom's brand of crazy during this move. I truly value that you help me come up with ideas for her apartment and help calm her nerves. Remember when my mom said that my birthday last weekend was far too inconvenient during this time? One way I have grown is in the capacity to handle my mom. I guess all the way through April 13th, 2024 will continue to be firsts without my dad, and I expected that. However, what I didn't expect was how much my dad must have buffered my mom, and with him gone, learning and growing is all I can do. I feel sad about my answer. Sad smells like dead flowers after a funeral. Sad tastes like the homemade sauce that my dad used to make. Sad like looking through old photos. Sad is an 8 in intensity and would be like the ending of the movie The Notebook. I love you always, me.
Dear my love, your MAQ is taking extra time from work and personal time to help your mom out. Remember when your parents went to our house in Oklahoma and your dad needed emergency dental work done on Thanksgiving Day? Let's see. Well, other than my gene size growing this year, I believe I have become more patient. Not a lot, but 1% is still growth, right?
Right.
I feel work in progress about it. Work in progress tastes like the first time you try a new recipe. Work in progress smells like sawdust out in the shop. Work in progress is the colors of the spinning wheel on a computer screen. Work in progress is a construction zone on the highway. Work in progress in song is The Man I Want to Be by Chris Young. Love forever, Chris.
Well, you did not give yours an intensity today.
No, but you cried while reading your letter, which you didn't do earlier. So we should probably dialogue in yours because that seems pretty strong to me.
Let's dialogue on my sad feeling.
Okay. So you said sad. Well, first of all, the thing that stuck out the most to me was you said it's an 8 in intensity. But when I watched The Notebook, I could not picture a more sad movie than that, the ending of that movie. So that's like a 10 to me. So is there maybe another movie?
Every movie that I think is sad would probably, what's the movie? American Sniper? Mm-hmm. I think that movie is very sad, but it would probably be a stronger intensity. I think that the Notebook ending for me is the sweetness that counteracts the sad, making it more of an 8. But every movie I can think of right now that's sad to me is sad.
Super sad.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get away from the movies then, because we're not matching up there. You said your dad's salsa made you sad. See, I loved your dad's salsa, and it makes me happy to think about him because he just enjoyed it so much. So is there maybe another food, another taste?
I think about those Thanksgiving mashed potatoes that I made our first Thanksgiving together. I mean, I felt sad because I talked so much trash to my mom about how my mashed potatoes were going to be better than hers. And then I put way too much salt in it. So that's probably more embarrassed. Um, but I did feel sad that I didn't live up to that,
At the time.
at the time.
Yeah.
Embarrassed would be my feeling about it now, but then I felt sad. Another taste. I I feel sad every time I feel a twinge. So it's a lower intensity of sadness every time we go to See's Candy. Because it was my dad's favorite. So I feel a twinge of sadness every time we go in that. So that's probably the smell. Because I don't really eat that much chocolate, but I feel a twinge of sadness.
Right. So I see the C's connection, but it's like I said, it's probably more of a smell than a taste kind of thing, and just the essence of the store. So when I would compare that probably to like my dad's cologne, the uh, old English cologne that he used to wear. I can still smell it. Like they don't make it anymore, but I can still smell it in my nose because it's all he ever wore.
I remember your dad's clothes, and I have such a high sensitivity to that. That's why like you wear the colognes I like, because it was a
There's a lot.
it was a lot. But I recognize in your love letters when you talk about sad, you typically bring up that smell, but it wouldn't be the same with your dad's cologne, and my dad wasn't allowed to wear cologne because of my mom. So
So I know that you were super emotional reading this, and I always get emotional when I hear taps as a song, because my dad,
my dad,
your dad, my grandpa, my guy that I called my brother.
yep. Taps would probably be a 10 plus in intensity for all the people that you named and my own grandfather. Um, I feel sad, maybe more like whatever that feeling is, like missing. Um, when I saved those voicemails for my dad.
Yeah.
That feels that would be a sound. Maybe more wistful or something.
Right. Just having him call.
Yeah.
Remember when we were in Jamaica and it rained?
Yeah.
And we were rained out the whole day. We didn't get to go outside. We didn't get to explore the island. We couldn't go.
When does it rain in paradise?
Right? Is that along the same lines, or?
That was more of a feeling of disappointment. I mean, I'm sure there was some sad mixed in there, but I was just terribly disappointed. It was like our second to last day there, and we had big plans. And I mean, I did get a massage out of it, so I shouldn't feel. I mean, you were like, "Oh, well, it's your birthday, go get a massage," and so I mean, it turned pretty quick to not disappointed, but sad, probably not. Um, Recent previous experience would be that when I was looking for pictures of my dad, and my mom said that there were no pictures of my dad in the military. And then when I sent that message to the army, and they said that his boot camp group, theirs got burned in the fire that happened, and so they had no existing pictures. I mean, yes, granted, I found a picture weeks later, but in that moment when I read that email and I read it to you, and both of us were like, oh, just that kind of just sad.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I probably maybe experienced it stronger, because it just felt like such a dead end wall
Right,
of
like you were done.
that there was
That was
nowhere
it,
else.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember a couple weeks ago when we were I don't know why we were looking through pictures, but we were looking through pictures. It was probably a couple months ago actually, but and as we were looking, all of a sudden these pictures of my mom and dad just showed up out of the blue, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even know we had these." And they were playing in the ocean, and just seeing them, it they were happy, but it made me sad because I couldn't get that anymore, and we weren't expecting to find it. It just popped up all of a sudden,
Yeah.
and so is that kind of along the same lines?
It's definitely closer. I think maybe an experience that we shared, what I would say would be a very similar emotion of sad, was when we got back from David's funeral and you said, let's just go for a walk. And we walked outside and there was a red cardinal sitting right in our driveway, which was David's thing, right? Sitting right in our driveway that followed us the whole way. And you were like, yeah, David, that should make me happy. And it makes me incredibly sad. That.
Okay. Yep, I remember that for sure. um yeah, I mean, that takes me back to the phone call that I got that morning from Annie, David's mom, calling and saying, David is non-responsive, going to the hospital. And then you have that, I don't even know how long it was, an hour, I don't know, what's going on, where's my, and nobody's calling you back, and then you finally get that call, and he's passed, which put an end to it. But
and if we were going to put an intensity on walking into their house, after we got the phone, as soon as we got the phone call, we left, we went right over. When we walked into the house, I would say that would be, if the scale went to 12, that would probably be a 12, if that helps you measure where my 8 is,
right,
in intensity, because that level of devastated grief feels much
sure,
stronger than what I'm watching with my mom right now, and trying to navigate. So
do you remember when I got the phone call from my mom saying that they were selling her house?
yes.
And it was the house I grew up in.
Yes.
And I said, don't sell the house.
Yep.
Whatever you do, don't sell the house. And she sold the house, and I was just like crushed. I was like, how could you sell the house? I mean, I know it's not my decision, but like,
You didn't get to be a part of it. You just
Right.
had to watch from the outside.
right.
Yes.
There's no control, like it's
Yes.
happening.
Yes. Like that.
Awesome.
You're experiencing my feeling. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, both of you, Chris and Michelle. I was thinking that as you're talking about your own feelings of sadness with mom, the movement, and not to mention also that your dad is gone, and it shifts your relationship, with your mom, because all you said, the buffer is not there at times. To mom will go instead of going through her husband then to you, she goes right to you, and whatever's on our minds and our hearts going to be coming out one way or the other. And poor Chris is going, what's going on here?
True.
I experienced that similar, and so it's interesting that you're talking about your mom and my own family. This that my sister went into rehab and then to assisted living when she gets out of rehab the last 2 weeks. My brother is in the hospital right now, getting out today, supposedly, and then he and his wife's going to move to an assisted living place in retirement. They're all selling their house. And so all of a sudden there's this shift in me of things are changing. And it's not that there's a sadness that you're talking about of, going through your mom trying to get everything in the house into one third the size of a building, but also there's change that she sees, you see, and they're both experiencing at the same time of things are not going to be the same. And that's where the sadness comes in. And yet the sweetness comes in that we're doing this together, mostly.
That's right.
Mom, you can't put a thing on the ceiling. It's not going to work. But I think that that's a common thing that many people are facing, different generations. And people, when they downsize or even when they expand, sometimes it's important. And also you say goodbye to an old house. Yes.
It's funny too. The other day when we were talking about it, I got the hiccups, because all we can do is continue to keep open communication between the two of us about this. But one of the things that my dad used to say is that God gave us the commandment to honor our mother and our father, not when it was convenient or when they're doing what we like, or, any of those. There's no parameters. It's open. It's always honor our father and our mother. And every time that she does something that we both are looking at each other like, and then I'll have to say, like, he'll tap me and go, your dad said it. I'm like, I know. I know. And then, or I'll tap him and say, remember what my dad would say? And he would go, I know. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing and your heart and soul. And
Thank
Thank
you.
you. You too.
I'm so grateful for the guests we had today who shared willingly themselves in their dialogue. And thank you for joining us. I look forward to the next episode when I join you again once more.
This has been Marriage, Let's Talk, sponsored by Worldwide Marriage Encounter, the foremost faith-inspired marriage enrichment organization in the world, providing married couples with transformative experiences through couples retreats, small groups, and more. Learn to nurture love in your marriage at wwme.org. Marriage, Let's Talk is a production of Mater Media, the apostolate that offers the Celebrate Catholic Marriage experience to energize and fortify married couples through parish events and the 7-step journey to joy. Find out more at matermedia.org.